Yeah, the Night Stalker was great. But I am sorry, guys, I'm late this morning. My tire was on flat because they have a lot of construction work going on. And so, of course, my brothers did teach me how to change a flat tire. But you know what? The number one thing you need to change a flat tire?
Tire?
No, a tire. You know, now that they do car, back in the day, you would have tires in the back of your car. There will be a full tire. So then they downgraded. You don't even get a full tire. Then you would get that little donut. And now they don't even give you the donut.
What are you getting on that?
You get nothing. And if you want an extra tire, a full tire, that's going to be extra.
Oh,
So-
yeah, probably for about $500.
Oh, gosh, it's ridiculous now.
I'm trying to get reset for tomorrow's docs whenever you're ready.
All right, you need to let the
I have.
clerk know so they can give me the file. Yes. All right, we're currently in jury trial. Who's the attorney for Todd Dotson? Are they here? The attorney for Fidel Ayala? Gutierrez Chavez?
Yes.
All right, and where's your client?
She's right here.
All right, if you'll come forward. All right, your case is going to be recalled for September 19th for jury trial.
Number 19.
So if you all will sign this, and then, oh, just walk around, and then you're excused. Welcome. All right. Our docket is short today because we're in trial. So Rodolfo Aceves. Okay, thank you. And then we have Brogue Villarreal, and that's for compliance.
Yes, Your Honor. It's Roger Villarreal.
Okay.
He's on Zoom.
He is on Zoom. Let me zoom him in. And then we have Julius Clayton that's going to be on Zoom. Oh, you're here in person. Okay. And then Rose Padilla. Thank you. And then we have Richard Thomas. That's at 9:30. Brandon Sierra. All right, Mr. Sierra, I don't know if your attorney is going to be here because I think she may have had federal court, but if you'll come forward, your case is going to be reset for jury trial for September 19th. Thank you.
Judge, may I set this on the clerk?
Yes. And then once you sign that, you're excused.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Judge, my paperwork is ready. I called earlier today that I needed an interpreter,
Mhm.
and they told me once I turn the paperwork in, they would call one.
Okay, awesome.
Right here.
All right, thank you.
And
And-
I'll be in the back with my client. I've just got a couple of things I need to talk to him about.
Okay,
And we'll be right out.
all right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then is the attorney here for Rolando? Did I just do Rolando Gutierrez? I think I did. Is Todd Dotson present? All right, Mr. Dotson. We are currently in a jury trial, so your case is going to be recalled for September 19th. Deputy, would you have him sign this? Mr. Dotson, do you have any questions about anything? All right. And the reason why your trial isn't going is because the case that's going now is slightly older than yours, but we'll try to get you taken care of as quickly as possible. And then Caroline, they said they turned in the paperwork.
Oh, yes, I got it.
Okay,
I'm just gonna call the interpreter.
all right. And could I see the file on Roger Villarreal? All right, Mr. Villarreal, you're wearing an LSU shirt. Are you trying to endear yourself to me? Can you unmute, please? Ms. Abrams, did you tell him to wear the LSU gear?
I did not.
Okay. All right, you're still muted. let me put in chat to see. Oh, that's okay. It's going to be one of those days.
No.
It starts out with a flat tire. You know, they say once you drop things, then the rest of the day you're going to be dropping things. I don't know if that's true or not.
Judge, I don't know if you noticed, I'm quite clumsy.
All right. Could you give me a thumbs up if you're able to hear me? All right. Can you give me a thumbs up if you're able to read the chat that I've sent you? All right. So are you Android or iPhone? If you're on an Android, give me a thumbs up. iPhone. All right. I love when people say they're on an iPhone because I don't have one, so I'm not supposed to know about that. So what does he need to do to get sound on the iPhone? Does anyone know?
Bottom right, I believe, Judge, should be a mute in the bottom right.
He said he's going to settings. Okay. Someone says bottom right. So as soon as he unfreezes, we'll take that up. All right. Who are you all here for? Jesse and all? All right. Do you have a case number?
It was set yesterday.
Mhm.
Told me to show up today.
Okay. Is your client on bond or in custody?
He's on bond.
Okay.
He's right there.
All right. If you will go to the back and have them pull the file, because for some reason you didn't make my docket that's on here. But if you'll have them pull his file, we'll take matters up. Just give us a moment. We only have one clerk today.
I've got the concept.
All right. He is zooming back in. Yes. And who do you have?
Judge, I've got Oscar Banana.
All right. Is he on bond?
Yes.
All right. And is he here? Oscar Barrera?
I talked to him earlier this week.
All right. Is your case indicted?
I don't believe it's indicted yet.
All right. If it's not indicted, we really don't have pre-indictment settings unless it's requested by the attorney. What is he charged with?
This computer doesn't tell defense attorneys
Yeah.
not to show up for
Yeah. What is he charged with?
possession of marijuana 4 ounces, 5 pounds.
All right. If you want to talk to the state about that and confer, and then see if your client is with the bondsman or a surety, and see if a surety or PR bond, and we'll see if we can get him here. But I won't issue a warrant.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Hello, Mr. Villarreal.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. So you're here for a compliance. Let me just review the report. All right. State, do you know if Mr. Garahan is going to be down?
Judge, I haven't spoken to him this morning. I think we did not think we were gonna have a docket because y'all picked a jury yesterday. I can text him.
All right, because he was not in agreement with Mr. Villarreal traveling to Baton Rouge.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm trying to figure out why.
Yes, ma'am. Can I step out in the hall? and-
Sure.
No, I didn't go, just left.
You didn't go?
No, ma'am, 'cause I didn't have the permission, so I didn't go.
No, I put on the supplemental form, I put approval for it.
Yes, but I got it the day of, and I'd already made different plans, so I didn't.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I will tell you, in this court, I sign things time when they're requested and I receive them. So either I'll
Okay.
say yes or no to it. So I'm
Okay.
sorry you didn't get a chance to do that, but I tell
No,
you,
I will plan to go in a couple of weeks or maybe 3 weeks, but I will give you ample time next time. Sorry.
okay, no. Because I know moving her into apartment and everything, those are first. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
But I tell you what, she's going to enjoy it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can
she's
say that.
been there a couple of years already. She,
Oh, awesome.
she actually works for the sports radio network and ESPN station down there. So,
Okay, that is fabulous. Tell her I said congratulations.
yes, ma'am, I will.
All right, so the issues we're having now is with regards to community service hours, the theft course, and restitution. Where are we on that?
So I've completed the theft course. I've sent in the certificate to both here and Bear County.
Okay, awesome.
I am starting the community service this weekend because I was trying to figure out a way to pay it here, but they're not letting me do that here, so I have to do the hours. And I've actually been in contact with the supervisor, and I'm actually going to start that either this weekend or Monday.
Okay,
And
then-
restitution, Judge, I've paid before this trial even started like $35,000 to one of the victims, I guess.
Mhm.
And none of that is showing up. And I'm trying to get someone to help me because they're being difficult in sending in all their information. I'm trying to get someone to help me out with that, and nobody's been able to do that.
All right, so who is the probation officer who's inputting his
In-
restitution?
So since he is in Williamson County,
Mhm.
he submits his payments to Williamson County, and then it goes through the process to get here.
Okay.
So the probation officer in Williamson County, now, my question would be, was that 35,000, is that like through insurance? There's a actual condition for him to pay $200 a month, so.
All right, who was his,
Hearing or,
who was your previous attorney on this case?
Eli Rico.
All right, was he appointed or retained?
He was retained.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to
Okay.
see if I can get an attorney appointed to address this restitution issue.
Okay.
So I'm going to see about getting that done today so we can address restitution and where is the money, and that way that will be solved.
Okay. Yes, because that's a large sum. That's almost half of what was owed. And
Mhm.
I'd like to take that down. That way it kind of, because once I start paying into it, they're going to start getting paid again. And that's what I'm trying to avoid.
and that is correct, Your Honor, so any funds that is received on our end automatically goes to the restitution first if restitution is owed. So none of the fees are going right now toward anything else.
Okay. All right. So just stay on Zoom with us, and I'm going to see if I can get an attorney here to see about the restitution issue.
Okay. Ma'am, I actually have to go to work. So my wife's going to drive and I'm on Zoom at the same time. Is that okay?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Everyone, just give me one moment.
All right. Thank you, Judge. If you don't want. Hmm?
Mr. Villarreal's case. Mr. Rodriguez is appointed. Oh, no, just do a notation.
I mean, I can't put it in.
No, you don't have to put it in the system.
And I'm sorry, what was that your last name?
It's David Rodriguez.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. And Vashon, if you could put that on whatever date you wanted to come back for us to address that. And David, if you'll just let us know to give us an idea when the issue has been solved. All right, thank you. All right, are the parties ready on Rodolfo as the interpreter here?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, if you all can come forward. And Caroline, on this case, it's set for September 14th. Court is calling 2023 CR 4580, State of Texas versus Rodolfo Valdivia Aceves. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Miranda Carrillo, the state of Texas.
And Johnny Cisneros for Mr. Aceves.
Are you Mr. Aceves?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have an interpreter here. If you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm you will faithfully translate from Spanish into English and English into Spanish, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Jacqueline Payan, Spanish interpreter.
Counsel, all of the documents that I'm going to discuss with Mr. Aceves is in English. Were you able to communicate with him in Spanish?
Your Honor, yes, ma'am. He was born in America and he'd gone to high school and everything here. He's just more comfortable in Spanish because that's what he's spoken. Most of his family has spoken to him. I read his rights to him both in English and in Spanish.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Aceves, did you review the document entitled Application for Deferred Adjudication or Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery and did you review it with your client?
I believe I have, Your Honor. And yes, I reviewed it with my clients.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Aceves, I know I'm butchering your last name. Forgive me.
It's perfect, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you. Did you review the document entitled True Bill of Indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Wait, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah.
on both counts?
Yes, Your Honor.
And each count, Mr. Aceves, you're charged with terroristic threat to impair power of gas. Did you review the document entitled Court's Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admissions with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
The range of punishment in each count is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront Any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent.
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty, not grant you community supervision, and sentence you up to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I do.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Aceves, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, mi jurado.
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, mi jurado.
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney, and did you understand it?
Sí, mi amor. Sí, yes, mi amor. Sí, mi amor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand, according to the plea, their punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 10 years in the prison? There's a $1,000 fine, and the state is opposing your application for deferred adjudication or community supervision. Did you understand?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that to be the plea bargain agreement?
Sí, sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that what that means is the court can either grant you community supervision or deferred adjudication, or the court could sentence you to prison anywhere from 2 to 10 years? Did you understand?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
State, is that the agreement?
That is the agreement, Your Honor. And for clarification, for the record, Your Honor, although the top of the indictment reflects impaired power or gas, that was an automatic input from the computer. It's terroristic threat public is how it's indicted. It's just a different version of the same third degree terroristic threat charge.
All right.
No objections.
All right. And defense, is that the plea bargain agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
Did you review the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, ma'am.
Then to count one in the indictment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Mi jurado, en verdad quiero
No,
perdonar
no,
mucho.
no. No me opongo.
Oh, sorry, disculpa. No me opongo.
No contest.
And to count two in the indictment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No me opongo.
No contest.
State any evidence to support the defendant's plea.
Yes, Your Honor, the state is United States Exhibit 1 and attachments.
No objections, Your Honor.
Mr. Aceves, did you review the document entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call, and the right to remain silent?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Sí, mi jurado.
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find it sufficient evidence to find you guilty of count 1 and count 2. The court will defer finding of guilt as you apply for deferred adjudication. We will come back on September 14th. At that time, the court will make a decision on your sentencing based upon any evidence that's presented to me and based upon the PSI report. Counsel, is there a need for a mental health evaluation?
Judge, I don't believe so.
And I say that for possibly if the court were to grant him probation, I don't know if I will or not, but there can be evaluation through probation for potential mental health caseloads or a DDRF.
I don't think he has any issues, Your Honor. But in the, I guess to be safe, maybe we should evaluate. I know he's extremely nervous, as the court can see, but I don't see any issues with him.
All right, is there a need for a TAP evaluation?
No, ma'am.
All right, Bashan, on this case, if PSI report, just go ahead and do the TAP because I think it's easy to do it with it, and a MIC evaluation. And counsel, if for some reason there's a MIC evaluation and they discover something, we may end up needing another reset for them to complete everything.
Yes,
But we'll cross that bridge if we come to it.
yes, ma'am.
All right, is there anything else from either side?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
AYAN as an answer.
All right, who's here on Fidel Ayala? Is Fidel Ayala in custody?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Ayala, if you come forward. Did you hand that to Mr. Ayala? Mr. Ayala, we're going to have you come back for jury trial on the 19th. So once you sign that, you're excused. Do you need a pen?
Please, on the 19th of August, right?
September.
September, yes, ma'am.
And we'll leave a copy for your attorney.
Thank you. Yeah. I believe this is yours, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So if you'll just turn that into the clerk and she'll give you your copy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You have a good one.
Thank you. Hello.
Coach Judge,
Yes.
I have a lady on tomorrow morning's docket and was hoping I might could get her moved. I've got a funeral.
Oh, you need to have the clerk pull the file and then I'll
Doing
take it
that
up.
right now.
All right. Thank you. Carrie Henderson, that's you. And you say it's set for tomorrow?
It's set for tomorrow morning.
All right. Do you have contact with your client?
I'm not, I'll get to the line. I should be able to contact her. If I can, I'll certainly let the court know immediately this morning.
All right, then we'll recall it. We'll recall it for the 14th.
14th. Too many funerals, it's not, Judge.
No, I understand. It's so sad.
Thank you very much.
You're
May I have the
welcome.
excuse?
Yes. Caroline, on this one, we're gonna recall it for April 14th. Yes, it says August 14th. I don't know why I said April.
Just need your signature.
Sure.
The file is here. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too. All right, anyone else? Yes. Idaho? Okay. Oh, Caroline, do you have the file for Idaho? Right, let me see. I have Gutierrez, Ayala, Sierra. Richard Childers. No, I don't have it. Oh, let me see. It may be under here. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I put something on top of it. So then it was invisible to me. All right, Jesse N.O. All right, so the last time we were here, the motion for continuance was granted. Where are we?
It was on the trial docket, Judge.
Ah. So we will bring that back on. Did we give the other ones the 19th? We'll bring it back on the September 19th. They'll give you a reset form and then you're excused.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, let me write this in here. Oh. And if you put that in Ayala's file. Yeah, thank you.
Judge, have a good.
All right, you're welcome. Have a great one. All right, Julius Clayton.
Morning, how you doing, Your Honor?
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing good.
All right, so Mr. Clayton, the court does not have any documentation about you not being a gang member. Now, I understand that sometimes people are in gangs in their youth, and then they say, I'm done with gangs, but legally, for the court, that's not the way it works, where you say you're done. So if you want to hire an attorney to present documentation and have a hearing on whether or not you're a gang member, you can do that. But for now, there is a document you need to sign because you're going to be on gang supervision. So basically your choices today are either you go on gang supervision or a motion to revoke is filed and you're looking at going to prison. That's one of your conditions. So if you, as I said, if you want to have some information tendered that you're not a gang member and you want to have an attorney to do that, you can do that and the court will reconsider. But for now, you're going to be on gang supervision.
I'm not a gang member. I haven't been a gang member. They put me down for that in high school when I was 17. The police unlawfully did that. And I've been stuck with that on my jackets ever since then. I don't be in the streets. I don't run with a gang. I don't hang out with gang members. I work. I got a beautiful family. I'm a father. Like I don't even associate with gang members. Like
all right. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm internalizing what you're saying.
Yes.
So the only way that I can do something is if there is documentation presented to me that what you're telling me is true. Because what I have before me now is probation has done their background check and they're saying you're a gang member and they have it documented. They have it in documents that you're a gang member. You're telling me you're not a gang member. So I can't give you any legal advice, but an attorney would probably be able to help you solve that issue. Because you're before me in your role, I can't investigate that for you and say, I'm going to go out and pull these records and do this investigation. I'm not allowed to do that because then I'm no longer impartial. So an attorney would be able to perhaps straighten that out. You understand?
Yes.
But I can't personally do it. So your choices are, you have two choices.
I'm going to sign it.
Okay.
I'm gonna sign it.
All right. So, but if you're trying to get that off your record, then you really need to have that off your record because in every system, in every computer system, that's what it's going to say. So it would probably be best for you to get an attorney to see what they can do about that.
Okay. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much. I see you with the cheddars on. They tell me they have the best biscuits.
We do.
Better, wait a minute, better than Red Lobster?
I think so personally.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to put I'll have to put on a mask and do a side-by-side test.
I like the broccoli cheese casserole.
That's all right.
it's-
I'm not a big
Really?
black man cheese
love
casserole
it.
fan.
I mean, doesn't that ruin the healthiness of the broccoli when you,
The healthiness is immaterial.
all right,
Okay.
thank you. Oh, and Michelle, let me give you this. Hi. All right, who's on Rose Padilla? Oh, Rose Padilla, if you come forward. Hello. How are you doing this morning? You're whispering. All right, so the reason why you need to be extended is because you have restitution that you need to pay. And I understand that there are issues for you, that you have other bills to pay. But in the big scheme of things, you're on a criminal probation and there's restitution that's related to the criminal act that you committed. So that those people need to be paid. So I understand you're behind on your mortgage, your electricity and your water, but people have to be paid. You understand? Do you have children?
Yes, they're already older.
All right. So I don't know if it's possible for you, but you may need to get a second job because you have to pay this restitution. And you were on probation for 5 years and extended for 3 years. I can extend you up to 2 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
So probation is going to go over with you and try to get an idea of how much you can pay per month. So you need to be thinking about how much money you can pay per month. And you're going to have to start paying that per month because restitution needs to be paid. You understand?
Yes.
Probation, is there anything else?
Oh, no, no, it looks like, she's been in compliance with everything else. She's done all of the programs that you've set forth and everything. It's just the restitution.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming down. Hi. So all the jurors here?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think the first witness they're going to call is probably the complainant, maybe so. Yes.
Did you do tracer review?
Yes. All right.
I just want to confirm, you put #1. I just wanted to confirm, you want me to recall the judge again?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to do #1 and then the defendant is the appearing court. You know, it's so funny. Rashawn asked me the same thing.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to.
Yeah. All right, you're here on your case?
I actually have a pre-indictment when Mr. Hernandez came to check in an abundance of caution.
Okay.
We would ask to go to grand jury.
All right, thank you. And so what will end up happening on any of the pre-indicted cases, so you can let defense attorneys know, we don't have pre-indicted hearings here because usually if it's a drug case, the labs are not in and other things. So anytime a defense attorney wants a hearing on a case that hasn't been indicted, they'll just have to let the court know and we'll set it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But she may want to let her bondsman know.
Yes, that's her next stop.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And Caroline, on this one, can you let the attorney know, I think their motion is incorrect. Okay.
Judge Walton, according to this thing, it's not accepting it. Remember that's changed?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, you know what? We had went to Google. Mhm. You want to call Lance and see if he knows? Oh, you know what? Is there an email associated with that one?
We're not supposed to have an email.
Because I was going to send you a link.
No, this one has the thing set.
Yeah.
Yes, we need that.
You want me to see if my tech mind, which is not very great, see? All right, let me see. Well, let me Google. Did you go to the Zoom meeting?
It says to update, but it needs to be a choice to update.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a cup of coffee.
Oh, sure. Because we still have this one case we have to do, but all the jurors are present. Oh. Wow. Yes. Hmm. Wow. All right, Caroline, this is this. And are you ready on Gaspar?
Not quite.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to take a brief recess. Oh, can you mute us? Who's the prosecutor on this?
Not real certain. man.
Hank, are you the prosecutor, going to be the prosecutor on this? What new number one? Because I don't have that listed on the motion to revoke.
Call me Judge, I'm sorry.
On this case?
I hadn't actually conferred with the state.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to see what's the new number one, because I don't have a new number one on mine.
Oh, okay.
And if there is a new number one, then I'll put it on something different.
Eight point nine. 7 9. 1 1. 9 8. 1 5. That's what else?
Hello. Yes.
Put it on the stand.
Do you need something?
I do, but I don't think I can say it.
All right, can you mute us, please?
Judge, may I have?
Yes.
So on this one, it's the new number one, it's an unindicted unauthorized use of a vehicle. It's a, no, it's not. It's not. Okay.
All right, so that shouldn't take that long to investigate by both parties.
All right, and it's, from what I saw, it's an older case,
Mhm.
but it was filed not too long ago, I believe.
All right, do you have contact with your client?
To be real candid with you, at this point, no, we haven't been able to reach her, but I thought she was in custody, but I could be wrong.
All right, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep it set on the day that it's on. You don't have to appear, or you can appear by Zoom, and then I'll give your client a reset date, but let me see if they show up.
Okay.
Because I'm only, if you had contact with your client or knew where your client is, then I would be fine with doing it. But because we don't, we'll keep it on the docket. I'm going to make a notation that you're in Midland.
And I'll let the judge there know, judge, so I can pop on right at 9.
Okay, sure.
And then
Now I'm gonna go get this one.
And let me give you, I'm going to give you our Zoom link so that you'll have it for that date. I'm going to write it down for you.
oh, okay.
Okay, I know we got a new one.
Okay.
Temporarily.
That's the Zoom link.
Very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Have a good afternoon.
All right, you two have a good one. You're excused. This one's going to keep the same date, but the attorney's going to appear by Zoom. All right, anyone else needs the court? Oh, we're just waiting for, once the paperwork is done, we'll take you up.
Sorry, Judge.
No problem.
Loaded today.
And can you let the jurors know that we'll be with them shortly? That's. All right, and I'll be back. I just need to drop this off for Judge Rangel.
No problem. You know, working for you.
On Gaspar,
Yes, sir.
and he's only pleading to one case, correct?
Correct.
All right, the court is calling 2023 CR 4768, State of Texas versus Gaspar Rodriguez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Hank Wilkins for the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
Manuel Rodriguez.
Are you Gaspar Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Judge.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Rodriguez, I'm showing you what's entitled application for probation. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
I did, Your Honor.
Showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
I did.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, we do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
We are, Your Honor.
Mr. Rodriguez, I'm showing you what's entitled court's admonishments. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you're charged with the offense of credit card or debit card abuse? That's a state jail felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
I am, Your Honor. Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court doesn't follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
I do, Your Honor. Yes.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, he has.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
I did.
According to the plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at 2 years in the state jail facility. There is to be a $500 fine. The state will take in consideration cause number 710595, 2023 CR 4769. There's to be restitution to the following: Walmart at 1603 Vance Jackson. That's 78213. Joaquin Gamez, Gamez. April Gamez.
Sorry, Judge.
That's okay. And Marriott Spring Hill Suites located at 3636 Northwest Loop 410. Did you understand that to be the plea?
I do. Yes.
I mean, well, do you? That's your plea agreement.
Yes.
Is that the plea agreement that you agreed to?
Yes.
Defense, is that the plea?
Yeah, I think he's tripping up on those names.
Okay.
Those are the names of the victims.
Oh, okay, okay.
State, is that the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Going to show you what's entitled waiver of appeal. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there been any such
There have
motions?
been no motions, Judge.
Outside the plea bargain agreement, community supervision for 3 years, TAP evaluation, 200 hours of community service restitution, no contact with the Walmart at 1603 Vance Jackson, no contact with Joaquin Gomez, April Gomez, and the Marriott Spring Hill Suites located at 3636 Northwest Loop 410. There's to be a mixed screening in the theft course. Did you understand those were recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
I do.
All right, then to the offenses charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no
No
contest?
contest.
State any evidence?
Your Honor, I submitted State's Exhibit 1 in the attachments.
We've reviewed it, judge, no objection.
All right. Going to show you what's entitled, and do you have the misdemeanor charge?
No, ma'am, I didn't do that one yet. I was gonna email the prosecutors down there.
Okay. Going to show you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you
did.
understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
So,
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
yes,
Did you understand that today the state would be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there will be no live testimony. Did you understand?
yes,
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence State's Exhibits 1 and attachments. Court has reviewed the same. The court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are we proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Judge.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Judge, as part of his conditions of probation, we asked that he go for that evaluation for MICMAP or anything in that regard, because Mr. Rodriguez
severe traumatic brain injury.
was in a car accident in 2015,
Okay.
has a traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
So he may qualify for certain programs.
Okay. All right. Mr. Rodriguez, do you have a place to live?
No, I'm gonna be at Haven for Hope.
Okay.
My address will be 1300 West Martin for the time being. And if I get a place, a domicile of my own, I will let the probation know in the courts.
All right. I'm going to let you do your MIC evaluation out of custody, but if you miss appointments, there's going to be a motion filed. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor,
All
thank
right.
you.
Do you have any children?
I have one.
What is the age?
He's 10, he's with his mom.
All right. Do you have any contact?
At the moment, I know his mom's number, but she doesn't really want me talking to him, so as of right now, it's no contact.
All right. Have you been using any drugs?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any family support in the area?
Not in the area, but I do have family and I can call and they can help me.
Why are you in San Antonio? What brought you here?
Well, I came here to go to college back in 2011 and I did 2 years at SAC and then had my son in 2012, January 2012, and I just got caught up with not living life, but having to work and provide, that I put off my college for my son and ended up homeless after getting kicked out of my, well, not getting kicked out, but me and my girlfriend broke up at the time. So I'd been homeless for a while, so.
All right.
But, all I can say, everyone can say that life's been hard, but, it's choices and, my choices haven't been the best so far and I hope to make them better.
Okay. All right. This is what the court is going to do. Court is going to sentence you to 2 years in the state jail facility, suspended and probated for 3 years. There's a $500 fine that will be probated. Take in consideration 710-595, 2023 CR 4769. There's to be restitution and no contact with the following: Walmart at 1603 Vance Jackson, zip code 78213. Joaquin Gamas, April Gamas. The Marriott Spring Hill Suites located at 3636 Northwest Loop 410. There's to be a MIC, mild evaluation out of custody. You are to reside at Haven for Hope. 200 hours of community service restitution. Those will be deemed satisfied once you complete parenting classes, probation, whatever parenting classes you deem are appropriate. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Proof of employment within 15 days of release. Just 1 second. There's to be no employment as a home healthcare provider with minors. If you are receiving SSI, you to then provide proof of SSI.
That's what it was. You read my mind.
Okay. And that proof of SSI is within 15 days. If there is some issue where you don't have it with you by that time, just let probation know.
Okay.
There's to be regular UAs, the theft course, and probation. I know the issues with checking in with people at Haven for Hope, but if you all, if possible, if you could do a field visit one time every 4 months with him, just to check up on him to make sure everything is going as it should go. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
A reentry brochure and
For Haven for Hope?
yeah, for him. For
Probation will be able to give that to you.
Okay, and then no.
All right. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
I did.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question about what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. In this court, to be successful on probation, communication is key.
Yes.
If
ma'am.
there is an issue you think that probation is not addressing, then you can always come and address it with me at court and we'll see if we can figure it out.
Yes, ma'am.
But do not fall off the face of the earth and not report.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
probation tells you you haven't paid this, if you don't come in on this day and pay, we're going to file a motion to revoke. Come to the court and we'll address it.
Yes, ma'am.
But do not stop reporting.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So let me know whenever they are ready. Oh, no problem. It happens.
Your seat.
Like you there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Manny.
Be a problem.
No, that's fine. And then whatever you want to email me, I'll be checking that.
Okay.
And Diana, I went on a treasure hunt finding what room you were in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I like it. It's great. No. I like that. It's because my niece, she loves her treasure hunting now. See why she likes it. I was able to go through every room and see what other court reporters put down as their sign. So it's always good. And I think my vision, hopefully it's not getting any worse, because I need my glasses, otherwise this is blurry. And it's for distance, but that's sort of far away, right? My mom is always calling me and I see lines going up in your glasses. I said, that's the court reporter typing.
Oh, yeah.
So she's like, tell Diana, she types very fast. Oh, did you hear about what's happening in Hawaii? There's like some huge fire in Hawaii and people have had to jump into the water to escape. It came up my news feed. Because I try not to watch unhappy things on the news, of course, but that came in. And so they had to jump into the ocean to escape the fire. And then, of course, they say there's a new variant on COVID, EG5. We just started giving things initials and numbers. What happened to EG4, 2, 3?
No, it's gonna stop. It's 130 degrees outside. That's what I want. Did you hear about Arizona?
No, what's
Their
the
low is like 118.
Oh my gosh. Do you think we're going to get snow this year?
How? We live in hell.
There's a chance.
Ready, Your Honor?
Oh, yes, we're ready.
All rise for the jury.
Oh, please be seated. We're standing for you. And just so everybody knows, you can sit in whatever seat you want to sit over there. So usually jurors will switch it up on me to see if I remember them. All right, everyone, please be seated. And everyone, I'm sorry about the late start today. One reason why we had the late start, it had absolutely nothing to do with this case. I woke up this morning to a flat tire, and then I soon realized that cars no longer have an extra tire in it, not even the donut. So that took me a while to get that problem solved. And then I had some other cases that were unrelated to this case. So we're going to start. And if everyone can please raise your right hand for me. Right. Do you and each of you solemnly swear affirm in the case of the state of Texas against Mr. Thomas, you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. State.
In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Bexar County, state of Texas, duly organized and paneled and sworn as such at the May term AD 2021 of the 186th Judicial District Court of said county, in said court at said term, do present in and to said court that in the county and state aforesaid and anterior to the presentment of this indictment, count one, on or about the 11th day of May 2006, Richard Thomas, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did intentionally and knowingly engage in sexual contact with Nina Sanchez, a female child younger than 17 years, by touching part of the genitals of Nina Sanchez with the intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of any person. Count two, on or about the 23rd day of December 2011, Richard Thomas, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did intentionally and knowingly engage in sexual contact with Nina Sanchez, a female child younger than 17 years, by causing Nina Sanchez to touch part of the genitals of the defendant with the intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of any person. Count three, on or about the 25th day of December 2011, Richard Thomas, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did intentionally and knowingly cause the penetration of the sexual organ of Nina Sanchez, a child who was younger than 17 years of age and not the spouse of the defendant, by the defendant's sexual organ. Count four, on or about the first day of January 2012, Richard Thomas, hereinafter referred to as the defendant, did intentionally and knowingly cause the penetration of the sexual organ of Nina Sanchez, a child who was younger than 17 years of age and not the spouse of the defendant, by the defendant's sexual organ. Count five, on or about the first day of February 2012, Richard Thomas, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did intentionally and knowingly cause the penetration of the sexual organ of Nina Sanchez, a child who was younger than 17 years of age and not the spouse of a defendant, by the defendant's sexual organ, against the peace and dignity of the state, signed foreman of the grand jury.
All right. To those charges, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
The defendant pleads not guilty on all counts.
All right, is that correct, Mr. Thomas?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, State, do you have opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. Let me please the court, closing counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The story that you'll hear today is the story of a girl who came from a broken home. From the time she was young, she didn't really have a relationship with her father. And her mother, who was single at the time, began a relationship with the defendant, Richard Thomas, and brought him into their home. At the beginning, it was Nina Sanchez, who's the complainant in this case, and her sister, her younger sister, Jacqueline. Now, they didn't have a father, so they considered Richard to be their stepdad. And you'll learn how Richard Thomas used that relationship with Nina's mother to his advantage and took advantage of Nina, beginning from the age when she was 9 years old, and how the other adult in her life, her mother, continuously failed to protect her from the actions of the defendant. We anticipate the evidence to show that beginning around the age of 9 years old, Nina Sanchez was being touched in her private area on her sexual organ by the defendant. And you'll learn how his inappropriate touching of Nina continued and progressed as she got older, to the point where he had sex with Nina on multiple occasions. You'll hear how Nina's previously told this story to people. But because of that lack of protection from her family, she felt obligated to take back that statement, to keep the family together, and to protect her now two other additional younger siblings who were fathered by the defendant with Nina's mother, Santa, in order to prevent them from living a life without their father, just like she did. But you'll also hear how she's still telling this same story today, regardless of how old she is or how time passed, because what she told back then is a true story. And she was pressured to say it was a lie at that time. But you'll hear how her story has stayed consistent over this entire time period from 2007 through today. And you'll hear how greatly it has affected Nina, not just herself personally, but also the relationship with her family that's still fractured to this day. I was asked you to listen to the evidence, take in the evidence, and we're confident that you'll return a finding of guilty in this case. Thank you.
All right, defense?
May it please the court,
Yes.
counselors, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. At this moment, I'd like to thank each and every one of you, because you are part of the process in which we started yesterday. My client has been waiting for this for a long time. Notice how the prosecutor said story. In fact, he said it several times, because this is what you're going to hear, a story. And I present to you that it's going to be a fictional story. And this is why. Nina started this long time ago. She's been telling people left and right. And the prosecution will have you believe that each and every one of those people ignore her. The prosecution will have you believe that her mother ignored her. You're going to see that time and time and time again, these people found that her story were lies. In fact, you're going to see for yourself that her story doesn't match. Contrary to what my colleague here said, her story has changed several times. If you remember back in the 80s and the 90s, TV station will have a show and there was a little ball that we have to follow and sing along. Y'all remember that? I'm going to ask you to follow the little ball. And this ball is going to be her lies. Because she lied and lied and lied and lied again. To the tune that sometimes everybody's so confused that we don't even know what the story is. As if I will tell you a story, you tell him, so on and so forth. By the time we get here, Complete different story. Again, notice that it was said a story, not fact, because there are no facts whatsoever to support her story. By the way, no forensic evidence. Supposedly there's blood, nothing, no DNA, no nothing of this alleged continual abuse. You heard that she tried to protect her siblings. Another lie. Why? She leaves at 14 years of age, gone from her house. To do what? We shall see. Gone for 2 years. Where is a 14-year-old doing? The evidence will show what she was doing. Not being abused, but being actual consensually having sex with men. That's what she's done. And now, perhaps, she's having sex with other men and accusing my client simply because he's a strict father. Don't make no mistake about it. You're not gonna do that here in this household. To protect her sibling, they say. And you're gonna hear that she's actually having sex with her sister. How's that protection? Story. And in her mind, she believes this story. So much so that she has accused my client time and time and time again. CPS have been in their house so many times, they can't even count. And every time ruled out. She's a liar. School, she's lied. She lied. She lied. She lied. That's what she does. Regrettably, all it takes is a statement for us to be here in front of you guys. And I hope and pray that each and every one of you will see that that little ball makes no sense. There's no tune to this story. It's a fiction in her mind because it doesn't coincide with the evidence. Notice that I'm not supposed to present any evidence because it's not my burden, but we're going to present to you evidence so you can see my client is innocent. He hasn't done anything other than being a loving father. And for that, he's been prosecuted simply because an unruly child wants to have her way. I pray and I hope that each of you see past that. Because scripture tells me that a witness tells the truth until they're cross-examined. That's what's going to happen. You will see how her story is going to change. And you're going to see how she's not going to know what came, because that's what you do when you lie. You have to lie again to cover the previous lie. You will see that for yourself. And I hope and pray that you do. Scripture also tells me that you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. And no, that's not the truth in this case, it's Jesus. But listen to this. When a person tells their side, their truth, it does not change. It just does not change. Oh, well, I forgot this here. Oh, well, I didn't say this here. Oh, well, I was. When it's fiction, though, that's what happens. And that's what you will hear from Nina. Fiction. Stories that have no bearing to the truth whatsoever. And if it was so much so, her story would be backed up by the people that love her. People that at one time were against my client. They realized the true side of the story, her lies. You're going to hear from his spouse, the actual mother of Nina. You will hear from her. She loves her children. Trust me, when all this started in 2007, you heard me right, this has been going on since 2007. You can do the math. It's been a long time. She was saying, you know what, kick you out, you out of here, go to jail, you can rot in hell, like any mother would. Then, reports start coming in. You know, this is not true. Ruled out. She tried again, kicked him out again. Report comes again. Nope, it's not true. Ruled out. How many times does my client have to go through this? And now she's going to come and testify and tell you the real side of the story. The story that Nina created in her brain, in her mind. She needs help. She truly needs help. Because the person that has all their factual attributes together don't come up with stuff like this simply to get back at a stepfather. When the evidence is going to show that her father has been so reckless that even smokes weeds with her daughter, even does things that a father will never do. Perhaps in her mind, it's part of the story. Oh, let me blame this guy because he's doing it right. My father, on the other hand, he's high. You're going to see that. I'm not making that up. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is long time coming that the story stops right here. No more. I pray that you have the courage when you go back into the room and do your duty, because you said that you will listen to the truth and you will listen to the evidence and judge it. Please listen careful to Nina. This little girl needs help and she tells stories. Try to get back at my client, a person with no criminal history, nothing other than this mess, time and time and time and time again. This is why he decided to be here in front of you guys. You can put a stop to this story. You can put an end to this ordeal and this drama. Yes, the family has been destroyed, but it has not been by my client. In fact, all of them still together, all of them except Nina. The only one that have left since 14. Comes back and leaves again. Comes back, brings, that's her story. That's what she does. You'll see this. My client thanks you. I thank you. And our founding fathers thank you, because this is what they envisage when they say a jury of our peers will judge you. I pray to God that you listen to the evidence and you find my client once and for all not guilty. God bless you.
All right, state, call your first witness.
The state calls Nina Sanchez.
And ladies and gentlemen, you may see sometimes people come through this door. It's because they're not reading the sign that says we're in jury trial. If you see someone coming through this door, because I'm alternate presiding judge this week, it may be people for me to sign documents from other court, but it has absolutely nothing to do with this case, okay? All right, if you'll take the stand here, please. All right, could you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can have a seat. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the court report can hear and the ladies and gentlemen in the jury can hear. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
Nina Sanchez.
All right, state.
Good morning, Nina. Let me start by introducing you to the jury. How old are you today?
I am 26,
And when was your birthday?
May 11th,
And what year?
1997.
And are you working currently?
Yes,
Where do you work?
I am a server downtown at a restaurant.
And where are you living?
I live here in an apartment with my daughter.
And by here you mean San Antonio?
Yes,
And you said you have a daughter. How old is she?
she is 6 years old.
And do you have any roommates or anything like that?
I live with my fiance.
And how long have you been living at your current apartment?
We just moved into a new apartment from an old apartment.
And let me jump into this. Nina, do you know Richard Thomas?
Yes, I do.
How do you know him?
He was my stepfather growing up.
When did you first meet Richard?
I believe around 5 or 6.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you please point to can you please point to him by and identifying him on article of clothing?
In his gray shirt.
Your Honor, the state would ask for an in-court identification of the defendant. And you said he was your stepfather. Was he in a relationship with your mother then?
Yes, he was.
And how when did he first start dating your mother, I guess?
I believe around when I was 5 or 6 years old.
And have they are you, do you know if they're still in a relationship?
From my current knowledge, I believe they're still married.
So they've gotten married since.
Yes.
And do you know when they got married?
I don't remember the year. I don't recall. I can't remember at the moment.
Okay, that's not a problem. Now, when the defendant and your mother first started dating, did the defendant live with you?
Not at first.
About how long were they dating when he moved in?
I can't recall because I was little, so I didn't understand time span. But it felt like it moved pretty fast within the same year.
So you were still young when they moved in together.
Yes, for sure.
And who, once he moved in, who was all living in the household?
It was me and my mom and my sister Jacqueline. I really don't remember how everything happened because everything did happen so fast. I remember being sent to my tia's for a good almost a year for my first year of school
And
because
just
my
for,
mom was pregnant.
just for clarification, when you said Thea, you meant your aunt, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay. And I'm sorry, why did you move in with your aunt?
My mom was pregnant with my brother, so she was about to have him. And they were just dealing with that when my aunt was helping out with me.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 7.
So he moved in prior to you turning 7 years old.
Yes, prior.
And in the beginning, how was your how would you describe your relationship with the defendant?
In the beginning, it was just meeting my mom's boyfriend. I kind of knew, I understood what the energy was, even though I was young. So I was like, okay, because my father wasn't there no more. And then all of a sudden, transitioned.
When you say you knew how the energy was, what do you mean by that?
That my mom was dating somebody new.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was just observing most of the time, just how he was. And he was pretty cool at first.
How did he act around you and your sister?
Very fun.
What kind of things would y'all do together?
I just remember laughing a lot. Him just making us laugh a lot.
How did you feel having him in the house?
I was kind of hurt because my father wasn't there no more.
Was your father around when you were younger?
Yes, exclusively. My father had his own doings or his own wrongdoings, but he was most definitely there.
Okay.
For me.
Okay. Did your relationship with the defendant change at any point?
Yes.
When would you say that it changed?
I would say around 7 years old.
Okay. And in what ways did it change?
It just changed because I started getting fearful of him due to physical harm and being touched in ways that I wasn't comfortable with.
Was there, when you say you were touched, how did he touch you?
A prime example was that one morning my mom had went to work and he had came to my room fully naked and he grabbed me from my bed while I had my pajamas on still, transferred me to his room, laid me down with him on him and my mom's bed, and it was dark in the room. And I felt his genitals on my back. And he started playing with my hair and it upset me and I kind of just moved away. And he got upset about that. And he punished me that day for it.
Let me break that down a little bit. So when did that incident first occur?
That happened, like I said, when I was 7. That happened at an apartment complex that we had moved in to all together, him, my mom, my sister, and me.
Do you recall which apartment complex that was?
I don't recall the apartment complex that was. I just remember the area it was in.
What area was that?
It was by Penn Road area, and I was going to Cable Elementary.
And is that in Bear County, Texas?
Yes,
And you said that he picked you up from your bed and took you to his and your mom's bed.
yes,
And you said you felt something?
yes. I felt his genital part on my back.
And now when you were on the bed, were you face up or face down?
I was faced the opposite direction of him, so I'm like facing the room area where there's free room, and then he's facing my back. So my back to him.
So you were laying on your side then?
Yes, my side.
And when this was happening, do you remember what the layout of the room was?
Yes, so you would walk in, the closet is on the left-hand side. And then on the wall, which would be to my right, was where the TV and all the movies were. And facing the closet was the bed against the wall where I would walk in. So as soon as I walk in, I see the bed on this side.
So when you were laying on your side and you felt the defendant's genitals against your back, what were you facing?
I was facing the TV.
Okay. And during this incident, was the defendant saying anything to you?
No,
Was he moving around in any certain type of way?
no,
So you just felt his genitals on your back?
yes, and he just started playing with my hair.
And at that time, did you feel whether the defendant's genitals were erect at that time?
I felt something wet on my back.
Okay. And what happened when you felt that wetness?
That's what upset me. And then he started playing with my hair, and that upset me more. Because I knew it wasn't okay or normal. It was very uncomfortable.
And you said you were clothed at the time, right?
Yes,
But the defendant was not.
the defendant was not.
And so then you got upset. What did you do?
I just kind of like moved my head so he can like get the hint to stop playing with my hair.
And what happened after that?
He got upset and punished me. His punishments were where we stand in the corner with our hands up for a very long time.
And did anything happen after that?
He got up to take a shower.
Okay. And was that the only time that he ever touched you like that? Or were there other
There
times?
were other times.
What was the next time that you can recall?
The next time I recall, was at the Westway Apartments. I believe I was between the ages of either 8, 9, or 10. I was in the 3rd grade. I was sleeping in my brother and sister's room on the floor, facing the doorway. So if you were to come in, you're gonna see me laying this way with my feet facing the door on the floor. And I was in a deep sleep, and I had got awoken by the defendant checking to see if I peed. He was unzipping my pants and had felt me, and he was like, "I'm just checking to see if you peed."
let me ask you, so you said you were between the ages of 8 and 10 at this time, right? And this might be a little bit embarrassing for you, but had you had a problem with wetting the bed at that age?
No.
Have you had any problems wetting the bed that you can recall?
No,
Was this kind of a regular thing that the defendant would go in to check to see if you'd wet the bed?
no,
So he just decided one day to check to see if you had peed yourself.
yes,
What were you wearing at the time?
I believe I was wearing my school clothes, I think.
And-
Because I didn't want to get dressed in the morning, because I didn't like waking up early. And when it happened, I didn't know if it was a dream or not, so I left them alone. That way, when I wake up in the morning, if they're still unbuttoned, I would know it wasn't a dream.
Make sure you were wearing school clothes. Did you have a uniform that you were wearing at the time, or was it just random clothes that you were gonna wear? I guess the bottoms that you were wearing that he unzipped, were they jeans or,
I cannot recall.
but you do remember they had a zipper?
I remember that a zipper and a button.
And the defendant both unzipped and unbuttoned the pants.
Yes,
And when the defendant put his hands inside your pants to check if you had wet yourself, how did he touch you?
he had slid his hand and slid it inside my underwear and had just a quick swipe and swiped out.
So he touched you under the clothes.
Yes,
Did his hand make skin to skin contact with your genitals?
yes.
And other than telling you that he was checking to see if you had wet the bed, did he say anything else at that time?
No, after he was done, he had proceeded to get up and walked away. Went back to bed.
Do you remember what the defendant was wearing at that time?
I do not. It was very blurry.
And you said you were in a deep sleep when this happened, is that right?
Yes, I was asleep.
Okay.
I was definitely kind of foggy when it was happening, hence why I chose to leave my pants alone, so I knew in the morning if I was dreaming or not.
And when you were woken up, was the sun out or was it dark outside?
It was still kind of dark outside, I believe.
And was there anybody else in the room at that time?
It was my sister laying across from me. So we're laying opposite. And then my younger brother and sister as well, asleep in their beds.
And all of your siblings are younger than you, correct?
Yes,
Did the defendant check them to see if they had wet the bed?
no,
It was just you,
it was just me.
the oldest of all the siblings.
Yes.
And you said the defendant just walked out. Did he do anything else before he left the room?
No,
And did you tell anybody about these two incidents?
no, not at the time. I had told my mother at the end of the day from school that day, because she saw that my pants were unbuttoned as well when I woke up. We both saw it at the same time, so she instantly had asked me, why are your pants unbuttoned? And I remembered and I was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, that did happen. And I kind of just got scared and I told my mom, oh, it was me. I was ready, about to start getting ready for school, whatever. And I was just contemplating all that day through school, whether I should tell my mom or not. And I had came to the conclusion that I should, and I told her in the car that she picked me up.
Why were you scared to tell your mom at first?
I didn't know she was gonna believe me or not.
And then, but you eventually told her in the car.
I did.
And what happened when she told your mom?
She got very upset. And she, when we went home, she had took him into the room, took the defendant into the room. And they had spoke and things broke out into an argument. And I believe she had kicked him out for that day.
Do you remember if your mom told anybody about these incidents, the police or anybody?
Yeah, no, my mom didn't.
Was CPS ever involved with your family because of these incidences?
Yes.
Why did they get involved?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
That'll be sustained.
What did you do once CPS got involved?
I had told CPS only what had happened besides my mother. And they just started taking action from there, I assume, because he had ended up going to jail for a few months.
What did you tell CPS happened
Exactly what I said today.
about the two incidences where you touched it?
Mhm.
And while CPS was involved with your family, where were you staying?
I believe I was with my nana, my grandma at first, and my aunts. They had taken care of me and my sister for a while.
And were you ever returned to your home with your mom?
Yes, eventually.
And was the defendant around at the home at that time?
I believe no, it was not.
Okay. And after CPS got involved, what happened?
So like I had said, he had ended up going to jail for a few months. And then my mom had hired a bond lawyer, and her and the defendant's mother just kind of bribed me and guilt tripped me into having a confession statement being taped by the bond lawyer, saying that I was just lying about the incidents.
So you said that they bribed and coerced you. What did they do?
At the time, I was a really big Hannah Montana fan, so the mother of the defendant got me a bunch of Hannah Montana stuff for my birthday. And my mom just guilt tripped me, just kind of just reminding me how I didn't have my father and how it felt for my brothers and sisters. And that just hurt me, so it worked.
And they told you that they would, for example, buy you the things in order for you to take back.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
Did you take back your statement based on those things that were said to you?
Yes.
And after you came out with these allegations, did your mom break off the relationship with the defendant?
I don't believe she did.
But the defendant wasn't at the house at that time.
Yes, he was not at the house.
After you made your statement, taking back your original statement, did your mom ever start a relationship with the defendant again?
Yes, she did.
If you can remember, how much time passed between you taking back your statement and the defendant being around the home again?
I would say probably around a good 3 months.
And was the defendant just coming around the house, or was he back living in the home with you?
He was with his mother. He was with his mother at first and just kind of slowly transitioned back with my mom into the home.
So obviously you came up, you brought up these allegations against the defendant, and then you took them back and the defendant was back in the home. How was your relationship with him after all of that?
There was no relationship. There was no bond. I couldn't stand him.
How would he act around you?
He was very nice at first.
And what do you mean by nice?
He left me alone. And he apologized
What did he apologize for?
for physically harming me and my sister.
And so what age were you at this time?
I believe 10.
And how long did that, I guess, peace between you and the defendant last?
I cannot recall at the moment.
Was that the end of any sexual incidences between you and the defendant?
Yes. The end of that for a while.
For a while?
Yes.
Did anything else occur?
When I was 14.
At that time, was the defendant still strict with you and your siblings?
Yes, he was.
What kind of, when you say he's strict, what kind of things did he do that made you think he was strict?
He still definitely had his punishment. He had no empathy. So that's what's strict to me, is not having any empathy and just expecting too much of a child. Really played favoritism between his 2 children with my mom and me and my sister, because we were from a different father. And so, sometimes I would just ask for a cup of water and would be denied.
So the defendant had other children that weren't your blood siblings?
They're my half.
Okay.
They're half. Still my siblings regardless, but half.
Of course. And so he would bring them around the home, around you and your sister and your other sibling?
No, we all live together.
Okay. And you said that he would treat them differently, like what kinds of things?
They could have candy, we could not. They could have waffles. I had to eat a sandwich for breakfast. Things like that, of that nature. They could watch a movie. I cannot.
And did he ever tell you why he was treating them differently than he would treat you and your sister?
No.
And so you said something else occurred when you turned 14. What happened?
An incident had happened that had led to a relationship between me and the defendant behind my mother's back.
You said an incident happened. What happened?
So the incident was my mom was out of the house. I do not recall where she was. We were in the care and supervision of the defendant. Me, my sister, and my two sisters and my brother. And we were all just play fighting, all of us. We're all just having a good time. And the defendant was chasing us all around. And I had my own room at the time. So we kept going back to my room, me and all the kids and the defendants. And then the kids started kind of just like getting bored. So one by one, they were just going in their room like, okay. And me and the defendant just kept roughhousing. And between that, it was getting to a point where while we were roughhousing, he was over me and I was under him. And we were just tickling each other and things just got very feely, touchy. We just started dry rubbing our body parts against each other. And it was that too.
Okay. Yeah. Were you still living at the same apartment at this time?
No, it was not.
Where were you living?
I was living, I don't remember the exact address, but it was on Piper's Lane here in Bexar County, and it was a house.
And you said you were all play fighting, then it was just you and the defendant, and he ended up on top of you. Where in the house were you and the defendant at this time?
So now we were on one of the couches by the living room. We were not in my room. So it was like a living room, and then there's a big open area before you get to the kitchen. And there was couches in that open area. So we were on one of the couches. And yeah, we were on one of the couches in that area.
Do you remember what time of day this was?
I believe it was evening for sure.
And the defendant, you said the defendant was on top of you. You were laying on the couch, correct?
Yes.
How were you laying?
So I was laying on my stomach.
And then the defendant got on top of you?
Yes, that's how we ended up being.
And so you were basically face down on the couch and the defendant was facing your back.
Yes.
And again, you're 14 years old at this time, correct?
Yes.
Had you had any boyfriends or anything before this day?
Going through middle school, I was most definitely dating. I had boyfriends, I had girlfriends. I was just kind of experimenting, but nothing sexual. It was more just very innocent, like meeting up in the hallways, kissing on the cheek and hugging, and just for the title, really.
So, I mean, you were a teenager. At the
Yeah,
time,
exactly. I was going through puberty.
And were you weren't sexually active at this time?
No, I was not.
Okay. And then you said for other things happening.
Yes.
What happened at that point?
So at that point, we started dry rubbing each other. And he was just whispering in my ear like how this was wrong. But we didn't stop, we continued. And then from there, it got taken to him in my mom's room, which is where the garage used to be, where the people who owned the house before, we were renting it. But they had turned it into a room, so we're in there. And
Did the defendant take you there to the bedroom, or did you walk with him to the
I
bedroom?
walked him.
What happened once you entered the bedroom?
I can't remember every detail after that. I just remember him getting very more touchy-feely, and then he had pulled out his private part and he told me to lay on the floor, and he proceeded to aim his genital to my face and ejaculated all over my face.
And were you clothed or unclothed at the time?
I was close.
And did the defendant have clothes on as well?
Yes, he did.
So, when he ejaculated, how did he have to pull his pants down, or
He had shorts at the time, and he just kind of pulled his shorts to where his shorts were loose, so his genital popped outside.
and during this incident, what did you hear while the defendant was ejaculating? How was he breathing hard? Was he saying anything?
I don't recall.
You said this was the incident that started a, I guess, in your words, secret relationship with the defendant.
Yes,
Was it a sexual relationship that began?
it was definitely sexual and emotional.
When you say it was emotional, what do you mean by that?
Because things were told to me that to me are very severe things to just say to anybody, let alone a 14-year-old girl.
What kinds of things?
He had told me that if my mom ended up, passing away, that we would get married.
So by the defendant's own statements, he wanted to be in a relationship with you while he was in a relationship with your mother. So after that first incident in your parents' bedroom, what happened next?
So that was Christmas Eve, I believe, or the day before Christmas Eve, sorry. The next day was Christmas Eve, so we were all around family, nothing could really be done after that. I do not recall how the next incident happened, in which order. I just can recall each individual incident within the time frame of December to February.
So your relationship with the defendant, and again, the sexual relationship with the defendant,
Right.
lasted from around Christmas time to February.
Yes.
Did anything else happen around Christmas time?
No.
So what's the next incident that you can remember?
The next incident that I can remember was, I think it was the night I had lost my virginity to the defendant. My mom was in the shower, and we were on the same exact couch where everything had started. And we both consented to proceed with sexual relations, and he proceeded to put his genital into mine and penetrate.
Let me back up just a little bit. Now, you said that you both consented in this situation, is that right?
Yes,
And you're 14 at this time, correct?
correct.
And do you know how old the defendant was at that time?
I believe he was 30, or between the ages of 30 to 33,
So he was much older than you.
for sure.
And so you were both on the couch when this started, right?
Yes,
What happened while the two of you were on the couch that led to?
I do not recall. I do not recall. I just recall us both consenting.
And you said, did you had sex on the couch with the defendant,
No, we were standing up.
but in the living room?
Yes,
When you say the defendant used his genital to penetrate your genital, what exactly did he use to penetrate your body?
he used his penis to penetrate my vagina.
You said your mom was in the shower at that time. Where was everybody else?
I believe in their rooms asleep. Or being ready to, for bed, just being in bed.
Do you remember if the defendant wore a condom when he had sex with you?
No, he did not.
How long did it last?
It didn't last very long. I do not recall. I would say between the span of 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes.
Yes.
Was the defendant saying anything while he was having sex with you?
I do not recall.
You're 26 today, so this was 12 years ago now.
Yes.
While you were having sex, or while the defendant was having sex with you, what did you feel?
I did feel pain since it was my first time.
Prior to the defendant having sex with you, had you seen an erect penis in your life?
Through the internet, I did,
But not personally.
not personally.
And did the defendant ejaculate in this incident as well?
No, not that I recall.
Why did it stop?
I believe my mom was getting out of the shower and we both got startled.
And then what happened once the two of you stopped?
We both proceeded to just go to bed. I believe. I don't recall the rest of that night, honestly.
And your relationship with the defendant continued on after that, is that right?
Yes.
Did you have sex with him on another occasion?
Yes.
When was that?
I don't remember the date. I do remember it transitioning and from January. I think we're ready at the end of January, going into February. my mom she had a kneecap replacement. So the house had flooded from rain and she had slipped and fell on that kneecap. So she needed to go to the hospital to get it checked out. So then she went to the hospital and we were left under the defendant's supervision, me and my siblings. And we proceeded to have relations that night.
So this was the night that your mom entered the hospital.
Yes.
What happened during this incident?
Well, we had some free time, so we were in my room. My siblings were put to bed already, and we were in my room. It was just the window open, and
Were you sharing a room with your siblings at this time?
no, I had my own room at this time. And we were just up talking endlessly, and I don't remember how it transitioned to that point, but we ended up having relations. I don't recall if he ejaculated.
What were the two of you talking about?
We were talking about a lot of things. I feel like I can only recall like a few things, and one of those things was him telling me how my mom is just crazy, like she's just a crazy woman, like in a good way, like a crazy lover. But then he was like, but you're like your mom. You're like crazier. Of that, some sort of that nature, something like that. That's all I could remember. It's what stuck with me that whole night.
So he brought up the sexual relationship between you and himself.
I don't know if he was referring to what he was referring to. It stuck with me because I didn't understand. To this day, I don't.
Okay. And when you were talking with the defendant, where were the two of you?
We were on my bed in my room.
Were you both laying down or were you sitting on the bed?
We were sitting on the bed.
I'm sorry,
We were sitting on the bed.
sitting on the bed?
Yes.
Was he sitting next to you?
Yes, we were sitting next to each other.
And you said one thing led to another and you had relations. What do you mean when you say you had relations?
So we proceeded to do what we did from the prior time, where he put his penis into my vagina and penetrated.
So you had, the two of y'all had sex?
Yes.
And how were you positioned while the two of you were having sex?
I do not recall.
You remember about how long it lasted?
I do not recall.
But during this incident, your mom wasn't home.
Exactly. Hence why I don't recall, because we were really like just in the moment.
Sorry if you said this, but you don't recall whether the defendant ejaculated or not.
I do not recall.
Did anything interrupt and stop this time, or?
No.
Did the defendant end up sleeping in the bed with you that night?
I ended up sleeping with him in his bed, in their bedroom, in my parents' bedroom, with my siblings on the bed as well.
So all of you slept together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if Were your siblings asleep on the defendant and your mom's bed while the two of y'all were in your room?
Yes.
Was that the last time that you and the defendant had sex together?
No, we have one more time that I recall.
When did that happen?
I believe my mom was out. And my aunt was helping out with us at the time, so my brothers and sisters were in school and my aunt was picking them up. So once again, we had the house to ourselves. And this time I had proceeded to go and wake the defendant. And the defendant was asleep from work. And we consented to have sex.
Again, you were 14 when this happened.
Yes,
correct?
I was 14.
Were you in school at the time?
I was being homeschooled. Yes, I was being homeschooled.
Why were you being homeschooled?
My mom just didn't like having me in school because she didn't like the fact that I was already dating, and she just thought I wasn't paying attention in class and that I was just focused too much on the things that didn't matter.
And who was teaching you at this time then?
In school?
Yes.
Nobody. I was just on the computer by myself.
Then you were home. You were home pretty much all day then.
Mhm.
The defendant was asleep at this time.
Yes,
Where was he working?
Jack in the Box.
And did he work overnight shifts or?
I do not recall. I believe he worked day shifts, actually.
So is it normal for him to be asleep in the middle of the day?
Yes. He still had his uniform on, I believe.
Had he already returned from work that day or was he?
Yes, he had returned from work and took a nap.
What time? At this time period, what time did your siblings get out of school?
They were getting out, I believe, around 3, 2:30 to 3 or 4. I think they would get home by 4 by the time they'd get picked up. And
Okay. So on this day, around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock is when you woke up the defendant.
yes,
And I'm sorry if you said this already, but he was asleep in his bedroom.
yes, he was asleep in his bedroom.
Why did you go wake him up?
Because I was already, my emotions and my sexuality was already starting to open and be embraced because of the defendant. And so I was really just exploring, and I just was just open, and my emotions were messed with, you know.
So you woke him up because you wanted to have sex with him.
Yeah,
And did the two of you have sex that day?
we did.
And again, you were 14 at this time.
I was 14.
Did the two of you have sex in the bed? His bed?
Not on the bed. It's just my hands were just on the bed. We were standing up.
So you had sex standing up. How were you positioned during this time?
His face is facing my back and my face is facing the bed. And like I said, my hands were on the bed.
Okay. Was the defendant wearing a condom at this time?
No,
When you woke him up, what did you say to him?
I think I had just asked him to have sex with me.
And how did the defendant react to that?
He was still kind of in the sleep and he just kind of like nodded his head and proceeded to unbuckle his pants.
During any of these three incidences that you had sex with the defendant, did he ever say no or tell you that he shouldn't or anything like that?
The first time that had happened, what happened in the room before Christmas. He had took me to my room after the fact and kind of just said we should never do that again because it's not right to my mother. And not to tell her because it would break her heart.
That was the first incident that the two of you had sex.
That was just the first incident.
There was two more incidents after.
Yeah, and he never said anything to that matter ever again after that.
So after that one time, he never said, this is wrong, we shouldn't do this.
Mhm.
Did you ever threaten him to have sex with you?
No.
Taking you back to this, the last incident. Did the defendant ejaculate?
Yes.
What did he ejaculate on or into?
He did not ejaculate into me. I don't recall where he ejaculated at. I don't recall if it was the floor, if it was on my back, the bed. I don't recall.
But you do remember him ejaculating? Did he say anything to you after he was done?
No, I think he was just asking like where everybody was.
What did you do after that?
Just I think I just went about like my normal routine after that because my mom and my aunt and my siblings were making their way home already.
Did you tell anybody about these times that you had sex with the defendant?
No, I did not at that time.
Why not?
I just knew nobody would believe me.
Did your, after that last incident, did your relationship with the defendant continue?
I believe just for a little while until we had got into a dispute
A dispute about what?
about my real father, my biological father.
How did that come up?
I believe the energy between me and the defendant was kind of off and it was bothering me. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to reach out to. So I tried calling my father and the defendant had caught me and he got very upset about that, saying how he's been the father this whole time. And that just kind of triggered me because it's like, how could you say that to a 14-year-old girl you're having secret relations with? That how does the father figure still even matter to you? That doesn't make any sense. And I just knew it was all kinds of wrong and weird and crazy, and I was fed up with it, and I was fed up with myself feeding into that and that situation. And so I kind of just distanced myself from him that night. And I was very, very, very upset. And my sister could see it on my face and I was upset. She felt my energy and she just proceeded to ask me like, what's wrong with you? This isn't normal. I never see you like this.
And that was your sister?
That was my sister Jacqueline, yes. And I finally cracked to her and told her everything. She was the first one I told everything to. And she wrote it all down in a letter, I think within that same week, and handed it to my mom.
So let me stop you right there. So you told your sister about everything that had occurred between you and the defendant,
Yes, everything, all the details.
and then she turned over that information to your mom?
Yes, she said everything I stated to her, she stated it all in a letter, gave it to my mom.
How long after the last time that you had sex with the defendant? How long after that did you tell your sister about these?
I don't recall. I would probably maybe say, from what I recall, my perception, it felt like 2 weeks.
And did you ever talk to your mom about these after she found out?
Well, that's the thing is she like was very upset and it was a major like dispute between me, my mother and the defendant. My
What-
mom,
What did your mom do once she was brought this information?
she separated the both of us. And
You and the defendant?
yes, and she closed the door to my room and just questioned me. And we were in there for a good while.
Did she ever report any of this to anybody, to your knowledge?
She had kicked him out that night and she asked me that night afterwards if I wanted to go with the cops to this.
And what did you say?
I said no,
Why not?
because I'm used to saying no for my mom.
What do you mean?
I'm used to sacrificing my happiness for hers. Because I know he makes her happy. I know she really truly loves him.
So you didn't go to the police to keep your mom happy?
Yes, most definitely. And to keep the family together for my siblings.
Why did you feel like it was your responsibility to keep the family together?
My mom always made me feel that way. It was in my hands, you know. I had the power to make it or break it, and it wasn't in my heart to tear my brother and sister away from their father, like I was done with mine.
Did things change in the household after your mom found out about your relationship with the defendant?
Most definitely.
In what ways?
I was able to go to my friends' houses. The defendant really wasn't strict on me anymore, really didn't talk to me, we didn't speak to each other. My mom was supervising us in our every room. I was not allowed alone with him. I wasn't allowed to wear certain things around him or just at all. And then when I had went to school, things just started getting out of hand.
Did your relationship change with your siblings?
No, it didn't.
And did the defendant continue to live in the home with you?
My mom had kicked him out for I would say almost the whole summer. Or no, not the whole summer, a few months before the summer. And then she brought him back in. So it's probably a good 3 months he was gone. And then he was there with us for the whole summer. And he just stayed, never left.
Okay. And how did having him around affect you?
It felt like I was still being ignored. The whole point of giving in to him in the first place, within my mind, was trying to just make a point to my mom, like, this is what happened when you, this is what happens when you leave a weirdo, a pedophile around the house. This is what happens. I was just very angry with her. And she just wasn't doing her job to protect me. And I was definitely robbed of my innocence in my childhood. And I just kind of started realizing all that, and I just started getting angry. And I started getting very angry.
Did you act out towards your mother?
No, I was more like silent, angry, just contemplating and just like kind of planning what I can do to get away from this whole situation.
And did you, how did you eventually get away from the situation?
I ran away at 16.
Why did you feel the need to run away?
Because I had got triggered and I was done with being uncomfortable in my own home.
Where did you go?
My friend Yancy had her and her mom picked me up early in the morning, and we kind of just had a meeting point. We met there and they just picked me up from there and took me and just kind of hid me out.
Did your friend know about the situation that you were in?
Yes, that's why she picked me up.
And how long did you live with, I'm sorry, you said Yancy?
Yes. I lived with her probably a good month, because she had me meet another friend of hers who, because her and her mom were going through their own set of complications with her stepfather. And she was like, I don't want you here going through that again. So, I have a friend who's really caring. Her and her mom, they help a lot of people. So they had me go with her friend Cassie and Cassie's mom.
How long? Let me ask you a different way. You were 16 when you first ran away, correct?
Yes.
Did your mom and the defendant ever come looking for you?
I believe I did get found at 17.
At 17 years old, you were.
At 17, a few months before I was going to turn 18.
And when you say you were found, who found you?
The cops did.
May we approach real quick?
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you all your lunch break at this point in time, because I never like to have someone question a witness, then the other person doesn't have a chance to question them and have it occur all at the same time. So I'm going to give you all your lunch break, and we will be back here at 1:30. And I'm putting it at 1:30 because I still have other things on my docket to take care of. There are plenty of places downtown that you can walk to. Make sure that your badges are visible, because sometimes attorneys will be talking about cases. They may even be talking about this case, who knows? But I don't want you to be influenced by anyone. You're not to do any investigation. You're not to look at anything involving this case. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so the rule has been invoked. What that means is you cannot discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. Do you understand? And you're not allowed to watch anything or view anything. You understand? All right. We're going to be back at 1:30, so just make sure that you're back here at 1:30, okay? All right, you may step down.
And then the other one.
All right, so is that a lay witness?
It's a former employee of CPS, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so we will be back here at 1:30, and then once those witnesses are here, I'll make that announcement to them. State, when do you expect to close?
We
We
may
should
be able,
rest today.
we should be able to rest our case in chief today.
All right, so defense, you now know that the state is probably going to rest their case in chief today. So if you have witnesses, you'll need them here tomorrow by 1:30. Do you have any witnesses here today?
I don't have any witnesses today.
All right, so make sure you have witnesses here tomorrow by 1:30. And whatever time we finish today with the state, that's the time we finish today. And then I will anticipate that we'll do closing arguments on Friday. I always like to give the jurors an idea of when they may be able to receive the case. So if nobody have any objections, I will let them know I anticipate maybe they'll be getting the case by Friday, just so they can make plans.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, state has no objection.
All right, so I will see you all back here